Tonight, an Onslow County parent wants answers. She says a male school administrator inappropriately touched her daughter during a pat-down.
And when we asked the school district yesterday about the situation, we were told the search wasn't intrusive, and they're sticking by that statement today. Reporter Kate Hussey sat down with the parent and talked to school officials today.
Kate, we understand she reached out to us for help.
She did. In fact, I've been calling on this for 2 days now and still have not gotten any clear answers as to my questions. The district today telling me, quote, they appreciate my tenacity and understanding, but due to privacy concerns, can't tell me much more than that. It's a message Melissa Wilson, the mother of the student involved in this incident at Swansboro High, is also being told. Taking a look around Melissa Wilson's Hubert home, it's clear her children are her world. So when her daughter, a 17-year-old at Swansboro High School, got into her car after school on March 28th crying, Melissa knew something was wrong.
She was hysterically bawling, hyperventilating. She told me she thought she was going to be sick.
Melissa's daughter told her a male administrator patted her down. She says he was searching for a vape.
Honestly, I was just shocked. I kept asking her, why did that happen? Were you, and my immediate thought was she, suspected of having a weapon? Because, then maybe I could understand why they rushed to check her, which of course they didn't find a vape.
Melissa asked her to write down everything that happened from start to finish.
And I read it and I broke down, because until I read that, I really didn't realize just how bad it was. He patted her down from her ankles all the way up to her shoulders, the inside of her legs. He had her pull her waistband away from her waist, and he walked around her and looked down her pants. After I read it too, I immediately called the principal and left her a voicemail saying, I'm going to be pressing charges. What happened to my daughter was sexual assault, and she never even returned my call.
Melissa says she did receive an email from the principal telling her what happened was standard protocol. So we looked into what that protocol is. According to the Onslow County School District's policies, if a frisk or pat-down must be conducted on a student, it has to be done in private by an administrator of the same sex, with an adult witness of the same sex present. Melissa says even though her daughter asked for the female witness present to perform the search, the male administrator didn't stop. So I called the school district's public information officer, Brent Anderson, to get answers. He texted me back, telling me the district is aware of the situation and that district staff will be, quote, following up on the parents' concerns. So I asked him to clarify, asking if the district is investigating the incident and if the administrator involved will be suspended pending an investigation. He told me there is no investigation into any staff member. I asked him if the district denies the student's account of what happened. He told me the search, quote, wasn't intrusive, adding the policy states the staff member searching has to be of the same sex only when feasible. I asked how it wasn't feasible if there already was a female staff member in the room when it happened. He stopped answering. I then called Board of Education Chairman Bob Williams and explained the situation. He told me he'd immediately forward my concerns to the superintendent. After that, Anderson emailed a response saying, in part, quote, concerns raised by the parent about the incident were reviewed by the school principal, who also found the search to be appropriate. As for Melissa, she says she just wants accountability.
And I honestly think an apology and a promise that this policy was going to be looked into and that staff was going to be trained, I honestly think that would have gone a long way.
Now, Melissa also filed a report with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. Colonel Chris Thomas tells me they haven't launched their own formal investigation, but he says they are reviewing this incident, and he says he'll keep me updated. Now, I also requested an on-camera interview with the district both yesterday and today. Those requests were denied, but at 4 p.m. today, I also reached out to the superintendent directly for a comment. He has not yet gotten back to me. Reporting live in Onslow County tonight, I'm Kate Hussey for News Channel 12.
A state lawmaker wants to change all that. Investigative reporter Kate Hussey first discovered this. She also talked to that lawmaker. And Kate, how exactly would this improve school accountability?
Well, State Senator Michael Lazzara of Jones and Onslow counties tells me the goal is to create more resources for schools and clearer policies for districts to prevent opposite gender searching as much as possible. Now, some of the measures he's looking at implementing are already being used by law enforcement and other agencies. Measures, they tell me, are working.
Put your hands on top of the hood.
When a Carteret County deputy searches a person for dangerous or illegal items,
You have anything in your bandana?
Nope.
it's a process that can be invasive.
You got in that pocket?
When you have to search someone, I mean, you're intruding on that person's privacy to some extent.
That's why whenever a suspect is taken to the Carteret County Jail for booking, they're searched by an officer of the same gender. A rule Sheriff Asa Buck says all law enforcement agencies across North Carolina are required to follow to hopefully make that process a little less awkward.
Male arrestees and inmates, when they're brought into our jail, they're searched by male officers. When females are brought and booked into our facility, they are searched by female officers. You certainly don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable.
It's the same when you go through a TSA line. The agency's policy is clear. You will receive a pat-down by someone of the same gender. Yet that's not necessarily the case in schools across the state. We looked through every school district's policies and found 11 of them don't have any clear regulations on who can search a student or when. One of those counties is right here in eastern North Carolina.
So right now there's current no policy that is in place, but there are some protocols that we typically do follow.
Is that something that you feel like would be helpful to districts?
Yeah, accountability is the big thing, especially in school districts, because not every school district is the same.
Greene County Board of Education member Brandon Johnson isn't the only one who sees the lack of clarity as a problem. Senator Michael Lazzara of Jones and Onslow counties says he's seen several instances of students being searched by an administrator of the opposite sex, something he says is baffling.
Why are we not creating an environment where same-sex searches are being conducted? This strikes me a little odd that we would have a better system in place.
It's a problem brought to the forefront recently by a News Channel 12 investigation. The parent of an Onslow County student telling us her daughter came home crying after a male administrator searched her for a vape. Yet the school district tells us there wasn't a female administrator available to search her at the time. Could not conduct the search.
That's correct.
I think the question remains at a higher level as to, why is there a lack of resource, and how do we change that to make sure that we have same-sex searches within our school system?
Sheriff Buck says resources are key. Part of the reason he's able to conduct same-sex searches for every inmate is thanks to adequate staffing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible.
We have female detention staff that are on duty 24 hours a day on every shift that works here in our jail. We're actually required by law to have female detention officers.
Yet again, in schools, that's not the case. There is no rule that requires districts to have a certain number of both female and male administrators on hand at all times. And only administrators certified in searching can pat down a student.
Some school districts may not have opposite sex available or the resources available.
I really believe that we can solve the issue or make it a little clearer and a little bit more comfortable for whoever is being searched.
Lazzara says he's now looking at creating legislation to reduce that lack of resources. While he's still in the beginning stages of research, he already has ideas on how to accomplish that.
And we need to figure out how we can either certify specific teachers or at the very least make sure that we have a parent present.
Lazzara is also hoping to work with the North Carolina Department of Instruction to create a blanket rule across the state, mandating same-sex searches whenever possible.
There's no reason that, males should be searching females.
I believe it would be very helpful for school districts as something that can be put in place and protocols that all school districts across the state will be able to follow.
I reached out to the Onslow County School District for a comment. I was told Superintendent Dr. Collins was not available for an interview. I also reached out to the North Carolina Department of Instruction. A representative told me the agency is not yet aware of Lazzara's plans, but said they were interested in learning more about it. As for Lazzara, he says he already has lots of support from other lawmakers and hopes to have some legislation drafted during the Senate's long session in January. He says he'll keep me updated on that.